The following broadcast may contain explicit language and adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the hosts, talent, and guests, and do not reflect the opinions, views, and standards of Pyromedia Enterprises, affiliates, subsidiaries, or its members.
Hello, 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 Pyromedia Network family. It is I, Camille Telicia, the host of Camille Over Chai. Welcome to the very first episode of Camille Over Chai on the Pyromedia Network. I am just laughing and I can't stop smiling because I just got to see the intro with you guys for the first time, and that was just my little heart is just warmed up right now. Anyways, I thank you guys so much for being here. Camille Over Chai, for those of you who did not get to see the old versions of it a few years back, is a show where I'm going to get to have some really great, fun, dope, dynamic conversations with amazing leaders who are essentially people who are doing great things in their lives, doing something new, something different, something bold. Today's guest is doing something that's visible for the invisible. And I just get to have real conversations with them, all while drinking a delicious cup of chai. And chai is short for sometimes the tea, and then sometimes whatever else I just feel like drinking that day. So it might be wine one day, it might be a mimosa or a Moscow Mule, but a lot of times it will have a little chai in there somewhere. And so today's guest is Jasmine C. Perry. She is a good friend of mine. She is a film director. She is a producer, and she's a unicorn and a mermaid and 17,000 different things wrapped up in one. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. Our topic today is going to be living boldly visible, and I'm looking forward to getting the show going. And all right, guys, so we are going to get into what we're sipping. And what that is essentially is what we're going to be talking about today. This weekend, a little recap for you. It's Mother's Day weekend. So, for all the mothers that are watching right now, happy Mother's Day. I hope that you enjoyed yourself this week. This weekend was celebrated by your loved ones, your kids especially. For me, my mom actually passed away in 2016, and so my sister and I, we just spent the day together being sisters, doing sibling things, talking about our mom, laughing. My sister is also a mom now. She has a soon to be 2-year old, my nephew Kaiser. I love him so much. At some point, I hope you guys get to see him on the show because that is just my little kitten. That's what I call him. So we just got to spend the day being friends. She's one of my best friends. Just spending the day together. Okay, y'all, let me take a breath because what y'all seeing right now is nerves. Okay. One of the things that I'm always gonna do is be authentic and real with you guys. And my nerves are just like up, up, up. So I'm just gonna take a breath. And I invite you to take a breath with me so we can all just get the energy grounded. And then I am gonna take a sip of my chai of the day, and by chai I mean tea today because this one is not a chai specifically, is the Bengal spice tea from Celestial Seasonings. Let me take a sip first. I got the box over here. Mm, hot tea, y'all. Okay, so this tea, why I love this tea, and we're always gonna have a little moment for this, is because it is cinnamony. It's spicy, and then when you add sugar, it just brings out whatever other flavors are in there. It has the tiger on there. I'm assuming that's their way of, calling back India, but okay. And, it just has some really great flavors, and it's actually caffeine free, where which a lot of chais are black tea based, and so they have caffeine in them. This one is caffeine free, so I can drink it at any time of the day. or night when I just feel like getting a little tea love. And then also, I just wanna show you guys my mug of today, which is my Goddess Vibes mug. I will be having these available. I designed them myself. You see my little goddess symbol here, that is also a, CPG design. So those mugs will one day be available. Right now, that's just a personal one. Alright, guys, so finally, let's just get into our topic of the day, which is going to be living boldly. I'm talking to my friend Jasmine, and I'm gonna pull up her bio, but I'm not gonna read it verbatim because that's always just, like, awkward reading that. But I love this first line that she has in it where she says, "She is a unicorn champion for vegan freedom." Jasmine Perry is a acclaimed filmmaker, screenwriter, professor, and actress in Los Angeles, California. Um, she has production experience, as well as so I know her from working on and I don't know that she worked on Music, Stage One, of Island, the Stage, being on TV, Unsung, Unsung One, My Black is Beautiful, and America's Got Talent. Um, One of the things that I am most proud of Jasmine as a friend is that she has gone into creating her own films and documentaries. The first one that she created is called The Invisible Vegan. It is a documentary that's centered on Black veganism. Okay. I was getting some notes from the producers back there about the mic, so hopefully everything is all good now. So, The Invisible Vegan is a documentary about Black veganism, and when I watched it, honestly, y'all, like I was inspired to be a vegan for like 3 weeks. I mean, listen, 3 weeks is I know I know you're all like, "Okay, so was it that good?" It was that good. I am a Jamaican woman who has grown up eating oxtail, jerk chicken, stew chicken, um, ackee and saltfish, and so giving up my meat is a little more difficult, but I do have vegan days, sometimes vegan weeks, and that's all thanks to the Invisible Vegan and Jasmine's, work that she's done. So, I want you guys to meet Jasmine now. And so I'm going to stop talking about her and let you talk to her. So, without further ado, I would love to bring on my friend, the amazing, the beautiful Jasmine C. Perry as we move into the Connection Cafe. Hey, 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 hey,
Hey,
hey.
like a little transition.
I was like, are we giving dream hands right now?
We are. We are. Life is a dream.
Headset is not saying in properly. Okay. Jazz, thank you so much for joining me on the first episode. I'm so glad it's you because apparently I still get a little bit nervous on the camera, honey, because my nerves just went, ooh, as soon as the show started.
Well, you look
So,
gorgeous. I love this setup.
oh, God
So
bless. Thank you
you're
so much.
doing fine.
Thank you so much. All right, Jess. I want to get right into it, and I want to take this first part of our conversation as an opportunity for you to tell people a little bit about who you are. Like, I love promoting my friends and just uplifting them anytime I can. So, I know I mentioned your entertainment and film background. So, just give us a just give us a little bit of the story of how you kind of got into the industry and some of the work that you've done.
Okay, I guess short snapshot. Like so few people, I saw the Hollywood dream and wanted a part of it. But the thing is, I've never been big on like the industry business part. Like I genuinely love the artistry of it. When I was young, I used to like to write plays, be in Shakespeare plays. Like I genuinely loved the art. So I ended up going to school for TV and film and just really relentlessly pursuing that dream. And then once I, got about, I guess, 7, 8 years worth of experience, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to take this experience and start working on my own film. So that's what I did. And it was called The Invisible Vegan. It's a feature-length documentary. And it's funny because when I first told people, oh, I want to do a film about veganism in the Black community, and this was before it got all trendy like it is now, I would tell people and they wouldn't be excited about it. But then when I was reaching out to people to do my film, like NBA player John Sally, Stick from Dead Prez, millionaire actor Cedric the Entertainer. Like they heard my vision and they were like, oh yeah, I want to be in that. And they ended up being a part of the film. So important lesson, if other people don't see your vision, it doesn't matter. Like keep pursuing it relentlessly anyway, because the right person or the right group of people, they're going to either see your vision and know how to elevate it, or they're going to want to be a part of it as is. So from there, I just really became big on my tagline is always dreams only. So anything that I dream, I want to do it. And even that extends to even being in the whimsical space. Like I got my certification as a mermaid, like literally in the ocean with the mermaid tail in the coral, pretending like I'm Ariel from The Little Mermaid. So whatever I dream, I do it. Next Sunday, I have a fairy tea party coming up. Like it's impossible. That's just what I do.
I love it. So first of all, I got to ask, please tell me, what was the name of the first play that you ever wrote?
Oh, what was the name of that play? I remember this, it was about water. It's funny because now I'm in the mermaid space. The lead character I was Starina, the starfish. And it was a musical too. And it was like starfish, starfish, everybody do the starfish dance. Like
I love my friend so much, y'all. My girl just broke out in dance. So not only did she write the screenplay, but she also wrote the accompanying soundtrack, the original score. I love it. Oh my God.
You weren't ready. She wasn't ready.
I really wasn't. And I should have been, honestly. Knowing you, I should have been. Wow. Get it together. Okay. I'm back. I'm here. So since we're talking about living boldly, one of the things you mentioned was how you were reaching out to they said the starfish dancing.
Okay.
God bless. I love you so much. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay. So you were you know what? Because it really just made me think about some other things that I could ask you instead of the direction I was going. But anyway, so you were talking about how you reached out. You said you had Cedric the Entertainer, John Sally, Slick Rick. So in your documentary, excuse me, let me finish.
Yes, Stick from Dead Press.
Featured in your documentary. And so I just wonder, or I would love for you to share a little bit about how you were able mentally to get to that space where you were like, yeah, I'm going to reach out to these celebrities, which we all know celebrities are really just regular people who just happen to do things on a larger stage. But there is sometimes some intimidation around that, right? So how did you find the courage or the belief or whatever word you want to use to say, you know what, I have this vision and some of the people that I know aren't really feeling it, but I'm still going to reach out to these people anyways. I'm still going to try to make sure that I get this done. Like, what was that? What headspace were you in? And what was that experience like for you?
Okay, so initially it came from sadness and pain, so like you take an earthquake, a forest fire, anything, when a fire happens across the forest, it makes way for something new. And at the time I was unhappy in my career. And it was time where I was like, okay, I got to burn this down and I have to go out after my dream and start something new. So I had a lot of motivation behind me. And I always looked at it like, you know what, with life, everything is a numbers game. So of course I reached out to a ton of people. Like I reached out to 100 celebrities that said no. But the reason why I was able to get the people that I got is because I was not afraid of no. And I was not afraid of 100 no's, because I knew eventually if you keep asking, someone is going to say yes. And those someones believed in my dream, even though the other 100 people didn't.
I love that. I love that. Eventually you are going to get to your yes.
Yeah.
And how did that feel when you got that first yes?
it felt amazing. Like, and even, you know, common theme with my film, like when I wanted to get it on streaming services. And at the time I was so like, oh, I want to be on Netflix. And when Netflix said no, it kind of broke me. But then Amazon said yes. So it's one of those things. It's just, you can't be afraid of no. And then I even keep, now I have my, it's like this little book. It's my book of asks. And every time I, you know, ask the universe for something, I write it in a book. And then I go through the book and I write like, okay, this was a no, this was a no. And so I can see visually like, okay, after 30 no's, I finally got my yes. And keeping track of that too also helps keep me motivated. Because every time I get a no, it's just like, all right, you got about 10, 15 more, and then you're going to hit your yes. So just keep asking every question possible.
I love that. You said the book of ask, is that what you call it?
Book of ask. So every time I do anything, if I submit to a film festival, if I submit to a grant, if I reach out to a celebrity, whenever I'm asking the universe for something, I keep track of it so I can see how many no's I got. And then when I run into no's, it's just like, don't trip, Jazz, look at your book. You had 20 no's and then you got the yes. You just haven't reached the yes yet. So just keep going.
I love that. And one of the things that I feel like in life is that when we get a no, it's not a rejection. It's really just spirit putting us in position to get the correct and most aligned yes for us. So I love that you have that book of ask to keep you to kind of keep that in the forefront. It's like you only fail when you stop asking, basically. And so I love
Exactly.
that. I never
And
knew
those
that. Look at you.
also push you towards improvement too. So, you know, say I want to get to a film festival and they reject me. I don't look at it like, oh, this is some horrible thing. It's just like, okay, no, this is the universe telling me, all right, we need to step the quality up a little bit. So keep going. It's just not your time at this moment. Build, and it'll be your time next year or the year after that.
I love that. Oh, you should teach a little course on that. That perseverance. I love that so much. Excuse me. Okay, so I saw you had your mug. I need you to pull it up because you had them dragons. It's like pewter. Just tell me just a smidgen about the mug and what you're sipping on, please.
Okay, so a little about the mug. This is the only, you know how we all have like 10 things in our lives that are always around us? This is one of my 10 things. This is all I drink out of. It is my dragon mug. And it comes from last year. I labeled my year the year of the dragon. And everything that I was pursuing, I wanted to pursue it with dragon energy. I wanted to bring the heat. So this was what I got while I was going through that phase. And what's in it is, don't have chai, but it's green tea with lemon.
Okay, now technically you do have chai because chai in I'm not sure which language over in India, but in one of the languages in India, chai actually just means tea. It literally just means tea. So if you're drinking tea, you're drinking chai. Now, what we consider chai here in America is actually masala chai, which is that spicier cardamom cinnamon flavor. That's
Mm.
masala chai, which I'm
Mm.
drinking something closer to that today. But yeah, girl, you're still drinking chai, so cheers
Girl.
to you.
Cheers. Chai with Camille.
Okay, so I want to circle back a little bit to your Invisible franchise that you're building and creating. So we have the Invisible Vegan, and then we had the Invisible Mermaid, and then I know you're working on Invisible Shame, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so just talk to me about why that. First of all, that invisible word is what you chose to kind of give as an overarching umbrella for the franchise.
Okay. So the Invisible resonated with me because I read the book, you know, The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. So he talks about how in his intro, how he feels invisible in white spaces because they only see, you know, his blackness is hyper visible, but not necessarily him. But then he also feels invisible in black spaces because he doesn't adhere to certain stereotypes. So that deeply resonated with me. Like even at the time being a black vegan, again, before it was cool, it was just like, well, I'm not really represented in the mainstream space, but then the black people ain't really trying to hear what I'm talking about because it doesn't include greens and ham hocks and mac and cheese in this invisible space where people aren't seeing, I'm not getting representation. So I start looking at different aspects of life where I see we're not represented and bringing visibility to those spaces.
I love that. Okay, so Invisible Vegan, you were shining a light on Black veganism. Talk to
Yes.
me about Invisible Mermaid.
So it's funny because I feel like the mermaid culture is about to get a whole spotlight. But a few years
Mm-hmm.
ago, I moved to Bali and I matriculated at Bali Mermaid School.
Not
And
matriculated. What you not about to do? What you not gonna do over here? What you you tried it. You tried it.
no
I
cap.
love you, but you tried it. Go ahead.
Like,
Go
I love
ahead.
you,
Go
friend.
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
love you, friend. So yeah, again, like dreams only. When I was young, I always wanted to be a mermaid. And then you think like, oh, that's impossible. And then I went to Bali and they had Bali Mermaid School. And I was like, you know what? It is possible for me to put on a mermaid fin and go down in the Balinese Sea, literally to sunken ships amongst the Nemos and live that life. So I did it, and it was a beautiful healing experience where I got to reconnect with my inner child. So as a filmmaker, I decided to create a short film around it.
I love that. And if people want to see the pictures of you in the mermaid fin, is it still on your Instagram?
Yes, you can go to theinvisiblemermaid.com. I'm sorry, not the Invisible Mermaid, or I have a personal page. So at Jasmine_C_Perry.
Okay. Listen, y'all, the mine except for the matriculation through mermaid school, I'm all on board with this story and the picture.
Okay.
That word choice. You tried it. But it was beautiful. In the mermaid tail, oh, she took some stunning photos. It's really beautiful. So please go check out that The Invisible Mermaid Instagram page, so you can see Jasmine in all of her mermaid realness. Okay. And so lastly, the one that you're working on now that's in the works is The Invisible Shame, which focuses on eating disorders, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Because now we're talking so much about diet. When a part of the conversation should be the psychology around food, which drives us to eat the food that we eat. When people are overeating or undereating, it's not always about wanting to be skinny or wanting to be this and that. Like sometimes there are psychological triggers making us eat the things that we eat. And when we see disordered eating represented, again, it was usually what the affluent young white girl who wants to make her gymnastics team with the
Mhm.
emaciated look. But what they don't know is like, no. You see that size 7 appearingly healthy Black woman who's maybe 40 years old. She could be over there struggling with eating as well. So to kind of highlight different stories and just how different food disorders look.
Mm. Um, I think that's gonna be such a powerful conversation. I know we've talked, about a few of the people whose stories you're gonna be sharing, and even when you were just saying that now, while I don't claim to have had an eating disorder, like, in the complete clinical sense, like, I do remember being in, like, middle school and high school, growing up in those I went to a predominantly white schools at that time, and all of my classmates, well, not all of them, but most of them are like skinny white girls and feeling like I was too big. And so I'm skipping lunch. I'm eating Gatorade and drinking popcorn, you know? I mean, wow. I'm eating popcorn and drinking Gatorade, and that's all I eat all day until I get home for dinner. Maybe eating a little bit of dinner. And so I, while fortunately I didn't fall completely into that space. I'm just like, even that conversation of seeing that, oh, it can happen to little Black girls or young Black women as well. And maybe parents looking out for signs of that too I think it's going to be so important. So I love that so much that you're going to be sharing that. Do you have a projected completion date as yet, or still just in the works?
That one will drop next year.
Okay.
Finish
Awesome.
that one up this year, and then next year, all systems go.
I love it. I love it.
And yeah, and then
Um,
even to your point,
mhm.
so for me, I think what kind of made me want to pursue this is when I was in college, I was in a very toxic relationship. And when I started with this relationship, my appetite was like crazy. And I would go to 4 different fast food restaurants, and then I would just eat food, 4 different meals. And then I had to use laxatives to get everything off my stomach. But it was never about weight, so I didn't even put the two together like, oh, you're suffering from an eating disorder. I just thought like, oh, I don't know why, but I'm just crazy hungry, not knowing psychologically I was in a lot of pain. And the only form of pleasure that I could use to nourish myself was food. So that's why I had the influx of eating to help me with the pain. But I didn't know, because I hadn't seen examples like that in front of me. So I didn't know that I needed kind of psychological help at the time. So that's why it's important to put visibility on people and situations that normally don't get visibility.
Absolutely. Especially, wow, so basically would you consider what you were doing to be bulimic
Yeah.
activity, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You were binge eating and then you were purging,
Yep.
right?
But because it wasn't linked to weight, I didn't even register what I was doing as an eating disorder. Like, I knew it was like something I would do privately, but I thought it was different than what I was seeing on Lifetime.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Ooh, are you sharing that part of your story in the documentary? I know you always put a little bit of you in your stories in some way, shape, or form. Are you going to be sharing that part?
You know what? I shot my own interview. I was considering for this film to take myself out of it. So
Really?
yeah. I was because as I was listening to the other women's stories, because I didn't want it to be too overloaded either. Just for flow, I was like, you know what? It might be nice for me to just take myself out of the narrative and see how that works.
Do you feel like that's a sign of you maturing as a filmmaker also? That decision?
Yes, I think it's just going kind of like I want to, because when you put yourself in something, you start almost censoring yourself. So yeah, like wanting to do a project where, you know what, I actually just want to center these other stories and put myself out of it. So that way I'm not like even as biased. I'm just in the director's seat. So
yeah, I love it. Okay, come on, leadership. Here we go. All right, before we go to commercial break, I want you to just really share with the the audience the names of the children's books that you've also written that are a part of that vegan activism that you are doing now as well, and where they can find them.
Okay, we have King Vegas and Prince Parsley. And then we have Queen Vegana. And you can find these books on Amazon.
Love it. Love it. Okay, y'all. So we are going to go pay a bill or two with a commercial or 2 or 3. I don't even know how many we got because it's the first episode. Y'all know, y'all are learning and experiencing everything with me for the first time. But we're going to go to commercial and we'll be back with the second half of the Connection Cafe where we get a little sweet and spicy with Miss Jasmine C. Perry.
This episode is sponsored in part by Bullet and Flight Radio. Get ready to uplift your spirit with Bullet and Flight Radio, the world's leading progressive Christian radio station. Experience the vibrant fusion of gospel house music and a rich medley of inspiration from all musical genres that'll make your heart soar. Join their extraordinary lineup of today's trailblazers, visionaries, and voices that matter, all sharing their stories and wisdom. Stay plugged in around the clock as they broadcast unmissable content 24/7. Your go-to station for all things inspiring. Become a pilot today by visiting bulletandflightradio.com. Bullet and Flight Radio. Your story, our station.
right, welcome back, guys. So what was that? 2 commercials. And again, just a reminder, check out Bullet in Flight Radio. You can see the information scrolling across the bottom. And then I don't know if you saw the promo for Spring Bash on Pyro Media Network, which is essentially the new lineup of shows we have for the spring, including yours truly. Hi, this is my first episode. Um, but we also have, I believe, She Is She Nominal with Tasha Champion. I Have Thoughts with Hope Giselle. And there's another season of, oh my gosh, You Better Than Me podcast. So, Pyro Media Network, we have a lot of great shows on our channel on the network. So, be sure to make sure that you subscribe if you are not already. Like this video so that more like it will pop up in your feed, of course. And then follow us on the interwebs. That includes myself and Pyro Media Network. Pyro Media Network is the handle on Instagram. So just put a little @ sign in front of that and you can find them and follow us there. All right. So we're back with Jasmine. And we are moving into the second part of the Connection Cafe, which is where I just have great conversations with my guests. And so, Jazz, I'm ready to get a little more grown up, shall we say, with the conversation. I did not read this part of your bio, but there was a portion where you mentioned your upcoming sex and magic class, I believe, or that you are moving into that space. And so we're about to get a little sexy, a little sweet, and a little spicy. Okay. Is that okay with you?
All systems
Okay.
go.
Perfect. Okay, so first, tell us about, or tell us about the Sex and Magic event that you're putting together and just how you even got into this space in the first place.
Okay, so where do I start? So sex,
Wherever
growing up, you see, I remember seeing, I don't know if you guys seen Set It Off. There was a scene in Set It Off where don't do that. It was Blair Underwood and Jada Pinkett, and they were like having sex. And Blair Underwood, he took his silver chain and he like ran it down the spine of her back. And I saw that and I was like, oh my God, sex is about to be off the hook. And I thought it was gonna be so magical. But after 2 decades of having sex, kind of what it turned into was me putting on theater performances, watching guys getting to orgasm over and over and over again. And then me not having that experience, actually almost never having an orgasm, feeling guilty about it, and then performing for them and just making sure they're satisfied so I can feel wanted in other ways. So after, 2 decades grown, I'm getting a little bit more wisdom as I get older. I decided like, no, sex should be magical. And a lot of the reasons why my situation isn't feeling magical is because I've been very ignorant around sex, around my own pleasure, around my own body. So I decided to start studying Tantra at an institute. And I'm actually pursuing my master's in kind of spiritual sexuality, which is going to be great. And I want to.
You will be matriculating in that.
I'm in the first year of my program and I should be complete by the end of next year. And I just want to create a space again, especially for, us, where we can feel safe having conversations around sex, learning about sex. I've learned a bunch of exercises, taking people through different exercises to help them with their sex life. And it came out of my own tribulations. So we're doing the first trial run this Saturday. I got a group of my friends together. I had to tell them over and over, guys, this is not an orgy. And I'm going to create like a whole, I got the fake stars and the moonlight, and I've bejeweled all of the liquid bottles, and we're going to have hot cacao and turmeric and just all these things to make people feel magical and just have a magical night about sex.
What are you excited for people to experience at this party? Because as you said, it's not an orgy, so you're not inviting them there for sex. You're inviting them there for something else. So, like, what is that thing that you're excited for them to experience?
I'm actually really excited that, as a Black woman, I get a space where I am celebrated for talking about sex. And my friends, like we're all going to be celebrating and supporting each other in the sex space. And this is really important because if you look back, like to take you back to the Clinton administration, right?
Mm.
There was a Black woman, and she was the first African American general surgeon of the United States under Clinton. And she wanted to promote teaching women, young women and men in high school about self-pleasuring. So hopefully that would like calm down the STDs and the pregnancies. She was very like ahead of her time. Like, let's teach them about their bodies. So women who wanted to experience orgasm, they didn't feel the need to go to the boys. The boys didn't feel the need to go to the girls. You could learn about yourself first. And that was the last straw, and she was fired. She was talking.
What?
Yeah, she was talking about sex. She was talking about us getting to know ourselves, and she got fired. So this is why this moment and what I get to do for me is so important, because the people who had these ideas in the past that wanted us to have the power of knowing ourselves were silenced. So now I get a space where I don't have to be silenced. So
Come on, y'all. Put snaps, 2 snaps, 3 snaps for that. I love that so much. And it's, just when you were talking about what inspired you to kind of go study this field in the first place, I thought about my own journey of just really tapping into my sensuality, right? Like it was it was after the emotional development, right? It was after the personal sort of development side of things, and then it was as I was moving into more of tapping into my own femininity, my feminine energy, and then like liking myself and loving myself as a woman, right? And that included being comfortable and celebrating what it means to be a woman, what it feels like to be a woman, and what it feels like to be a sexually free woman, for lack of a better word. I'm like, is free the word I want to use? But and I recall that after some time, the sex also improved as well, because you're not less afraid to ask for what you want, more
Mhm.
clear on what you do want, right? Like what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what feels amazing, right? Like 'cause some things feels some things are like that's nice, and then they're like, oh, that's wow. So just but especially, when actually engaging with a partner and feeling like we are having this experience together, right? This orgasmic experience together, not one where I just have a nice time and you have a wow time. So now we
Mhm.
get to have wow times.
Yes. Yes. And
And
then
I
we get
love
to
that.
play with the spiritual power within sex. Even
Okay,
going into
let's
the
talk about it.
bedroom, having
Talk
it be
about
all
it.
about the orgasm. And it's just like
Mhm.
there's so many sensual, pleasurable things that we can do
Mhm.
outside of like, okay, how do we get this orgasm? Because then that
Right.
becomes the source of tension sometimes
Yeah.
in the bedroom. But you take that pressure off. We're not here for that. I think one of my favorite sexual moments, I was in the shower and this guy was like washing my hair. And it
Mm.
was like that was my kind of spiritual sexual orgasm where I was like, oh my God, I'm
Mm.
so turned on. Like I'm so activated and just kind of playing with that feeling in that moment instead
Mhm.
of just thrust, thrust, thrust. Okay, how can we use friction to? It's like it's about more than
Listen. I used to say, well, I mean, I guess I still say it, is that what I'm not interested in is a man just using me as a masturbation tool. Because
yeah.
that's essentially what that is. But anyways, that might be too much for Power Meeting, so we're gonna keep it we show number 1, canceled. So
Like sales, you might be helping. Like,
respectfully, also respectfully. Okay, so what I do wanna move into though, because it's so interesting that you brought up and I really would love to find out this lady's name, the Surgeon General from that who got fired, because I feel like there is Camille After Dark, exactly. My bad, y'all. My bad. But I feel like professionally, because one of the things that I'm all about is the leadership, entrepreneurship side of things, but not just entrepreneurship, but just like the leadership, right? And do you find, well, I don't even know if I need to ask you if you find, let's just discuss when women end up like losing some of their credibility, right? In whatever field it is, whatever industry, whatever profession it is, like they lose this sort of view of, oh, you're credible or you're being professional or you're an expert if somehow they are able to boldly or even just visibly embrace their sexuality and their sensuality, right? And so I'm gonna give you a couple examples that I pulled from the interwebs. So there's one that I could not find the Instagram post, but there was like this video of this elementary school teacher who was just a young woman who was curvy. And as she was a woman of color. I don't know what her ethnicity was, but she definitely was a woman of color. So she had the hips, she had the butt, and she had, the chest. Like she cute shape, the shape that if she was anywhere else, it would be, oh, we love it, but because it's in a classroom and she wasn't out here wearing party dresses, it wasn't, she had on her pants and her shirt properly fitted. Nothing is, there's no cleavage. It was like a turtleneck and some jeans, but she was getting complaints of being too distracting and not able to do her job because she was wearing clothes that fit the body that she was given. Or maybe she made it. I don't really know. But the body that she had that was a little more curvier, right? So it was more sexy. There was another example I read that in 2018, Serena Williams, when she wore the cat suit to play tennis, and what was it, in the French Open, they people said that she was being too sexy and not taking the tournament seriously. And you know why she wore the cat suit? Because it was to help prevent blood clots. I think this might have been after she had her daughter and she almost died from a blood clot after giving birth. But they said she was being too sexy, all because the outfit she chose showed off her body and her physical shape, right? Another one, speaking of Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. Let's get into it, right? She got all the flack, all the hate, all the judgment and criticism. Yes, they're going to say, oh, well, Clinton got impeached. Yes, we know. On the moral level, on the moral and professional level, right? She is the one who had the most damage done from her having a consensual sexual relationship with a married man. But we're focused on the sex part, right? Like all credibility at that point, because she was an intern in the White House, and I haven't heard that she's been like super in the political field since then. Because
No,
how
she
could she?
even
So it's
attempted to
just,
kill herself.
yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, like I think she had let me fact check everyone. But yeah, she was going through, I don't know if she attempted to kill herself or had thoughts of
Suicidal
suicide.
ideation.
But yeah,
Mm,
mentally it really damaged her. And when you think about how old she was when that happened, it's like Clinton, you're like in your, at the time, I don't know, 50s.
50s,
You gonna let this like 20-year-old girl or however old she was take this emotional hit and
yeah.
not even support her and not even step up and say, no, you know what? Don't take the heat. Don't give it to her. This was me. I was the grown up in the situation. I was the president of the United States. Like
Commander in chief, no big deal.
yeah.
Just something light, no big
To
deal.
no
Yeah.
accountability for the manipulation that went into that.
Mm.
So
Yeah. So in all of those examples, the women, it's like if they're embracing any aspect of their, and we're not even going to call it sexuality, their sensuality, the things that make them a woman. I mean, yes, Monica has sex, so sexuality, but their sensuality in any sort of way, they just, it's like they drop down, they get demoted, degraded. That's not, degraded isn't the word, but you know what I'm saying. Um, so as you are stepping into this sort of like sex and magic space, has that been a concern for you at all? Is that something that you have been thinking about? Like, how are you going to move beyond those stigmas?
I think when you think of, I'm getting to the point, I'm at the stage in my career where public opinion is no longer, it's a non-factor to me. And what people think about me is a non-factor to me. It's like, what do I think of me? What does my mom think of me? And what does God think of me? And I'm not going into a space, like I'm going into this sexual space with good intentions. Like I want women to know that if they're experiencing what I'm experiencing, they're not alone. I want to give people like spiritual practices they can use in the bedroom to become actually more connected with their partner on an emotional level, like emotional tools that go into having sex. Like even letting people know like sexual traumas, men, women, you guys should be, or even woman and woman, man and man, trans and trans, like you should be discussing these things before you go into the bedroom. You should be giving people guided tours of your body so they know what to do with your body, so they're not doing anything that makes you feel bad on a physical level. So I'm going into it with good intentions. However, people take that, and if they want to demote me in their eyes, like that's fine with me. I don't live for them. And I think respectability politics have always been unfair towards Black women. You know, if we always have had to walk this line where it's like, if we're too sexual or we engage in sex, then we're a hoe. If we don't, then we're rigid. So we're trying to find this, okay, what's the perfect way I can walk through life and tiptoe around eggshells, instead of me being like, you know what? I'm a sexy motherfucker.
Ooh.
And I like sex. And I'm going to be me, and I'm going to own my sexuality, and I'm going to integrate that into my life from a very informed spiritual place. And if anyone has a problem with that, don't follow me.
Come on, you sexy motherfucker. I love that though. I mean, because even in this conversation, I feel like, and granted, part of it is me honoring the network as a whole, right? But also, when I first started sharing about my own experiences, like I hesitated because I'm like, oh, is this gonna be too much? Is somebody gonna think? And it's like, I'm grown. Like I'm a grown up. I'm not even like a almost grown up. Like I'm a grown up at this point. And I'm certainly not trying to make anybody think that I'm the Virgin Mary over here for sure. Speaking to your Madonna whore complex, because that's what you're talking about, is it's like you're either the whore or you're the Madonna. You're the Virgin Mother or you're a whore. And there's no in between. And it's like, no, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm in the middle. Probably me closer to this side, but definitely in the middle for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit of, just depends on what
Right.
it is.
Right. And I feel like in embracing my own sensuality and femininity, like I feel like I've just been able to have more joy in my life, right? And so it's just like I applaud you. I applaud you taking a stand on your sexy motherfuckingness. And I really think that when you get into that spiritual side of things, if you start sharing with them about sex magic and manifestation, not sex and magic, but sex magic manifestation, mm, y'all, when you're having an orgasm, think happy thoughts. And by happy thoughts, I mean that thing that you are trying to manifest and create in your life, and use the energy from the orgasm for that. That's just like a high level overview. Quick. Okay. Anything else you want to say before we go to commercial break about just sex and magic, or sex and women and professionalism before we wrap this conversation?
Segment up.
Yeah.
The last thing I guess I'll say to all the women, especially the women who the seasoned women who got a little wisdom on them, just know, like, I honestly feel like the last generation's silence caused this generation pain, unnecessary pain, because there were things that we walked into the world not knowing about because our elders were scared to talk to us about it. So talk about it. Help the next generation coming up, so they don't feel like they always have to learn from their own mistakes and learn in a way that might traumatize them, but they can already have an idea of what they're stepping into. Because sex, in the world of sex, it's a very spiritually powerful situation, and it can emotionally really damage some young ladies and their self-esteem if they don't know what they're walking into. Men too, sorry, everyone.
Yeah, yeah, that's really true, and I agree. I hope that these younger generations talk to their kids about healthy sex also, because I feel like sex is a big topic now. We're talking about it all the time, but we're not talking about loving sex, healthy sex, or enjoyable sex. They make it sound like sex needs to be painful, and hard and violent. So that's not great.
Yes. Like beat it up. Like, please don't.
Right. Yeah, no,
Like,
no, don't do any of that. Like, take that word out of your
I
vocabulary.
killed her.
Say
I don't need to.
um, okay. All right, Jazz. Thank you so much for joining me in the Connection Cafe. We are gonna move into our next segment, which is Let It Steep, where we are just gonna be talking about some final thoughts. I know we shared some final thoughts about the sex and magic, but overall, final thoughts on just our conversation today. And actually, my question for you would be if you could offer our viewers one key tip on how they can live their lives boldly and or be more visible.
Keith. Okay, a key tip that I would say, I think I spoke earlier about my little catchphrase, dreams only.
Mhm.
Be the dream. Don't have dreams. Be the dream. Whatever it is that you want to do. Like I know Camille came to one of my birthday parties years ago where it was a film festival birthday party. And I had all my friends make films. I had a red carpet. I had a correspondent. I had all that. I just used my resources, however bootleg, and I just made my dream happen. And it didn't depend on anybody's validation, anybody's Oscar, any celebrity. It was just whatever I want to do, I make it work with what I have. So whatever your dream is, and sometimes it's even more fun that way when you do the homemade creative stuff. So whatever you want to do, just do it and do it with what you have, and then let that grow into something bigger. And even if it doesn't, and if other people don't embrace it, that doesn't mean anything. That's not what you're here for. You're not here to be another rat chasing the same cheese like everybody else. You are here for joy and to enjoy your life. So live your dream and be the dream.
I love that. What a beautiful moment. All right, y'all. We are going to take a very quick commercial break before we wrap up today's episode. So we'll see you back here in just a moment.
Are you ready to take your streaming broadcast, website, or social media visuals up a notch? Pirate Media Productions is here with the perfect solution. From dynamics, design, and professional headshot shoots to family photo ops, they've got all you need for stunning content creation. Check out pyromediaproductions.com today and add that creative flair. Pyro Media Productions, setting brands ablaze since 2017.
All right, guys. We are coming towards the end of the show. And Jasmine, please let everybody know what you have coming up. What's brewing for you?
So what's brewing is the Invisible Mermaid short film. I'll be releasing that. I'll have The Invisible Shame at the top of next year. And then I'm going to be throwing my Sex and Magic nights. So
I love it. Are you going to do anything virtual for the folks not in LA?
I'm going to see. Like I'm playing it by ear. That's like infant level. So I'm just curious. I'm going to see what it grows into.
I love that. And please let everybody know how they can find you on the interwebs.
Okay, The Invisible Vegan on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, or Jasmine C. Perry. You can look up my socials by that name as well.
Love it, love it. Okay, guys, it's time for the final sip of the show, the day of Camille over chai. How about that? So first of all, I just want to thank you guys so much for joining me today for the relaunch premiere episode of Camille over chai here on Pyro Media Network. I know the start was a little high energy. By high energy, a little rocky. That's what I mean. But if y'all stick with me, I promise you each week, every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, this show is going to get better. I'm going to continue having some really fun, real conversations with clearly my friends and also some of my favorite leaders in spaces around the interwebs. And I hope that you'll come back for more conversations, more chai, more laughs, and more insight and inspiration. I am Camille Telicia, your host. You can find me all over the internet as Camille Telicia, as it's spelled right there on your screens. For those of you who may be listening, that's Camille, the letter T as in Thomas, Elicia. That's Camille Telicia. That's also my website if you add a .com, or you can find me at The Intentional. Those things will lead back to me. And I hope that you will continue to stick around. If you enjoyed today's episode and you're watching this replay, drop some comments, give me a like, subscribe to Pyro Media Network so that you will always be in the know for what else is coming up, and you'll get your notifications if you're on YouTube. With that, guys, thank you so, so much. I look forward to seeing you next Monday here on Pyro Media Network at, again, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to be having a conversation with Elena Flores about being a teen mom and I'm sorry, not a teen mom, a single mom and a social media influencer, a momfluencer now, among other things. So stick around, join us then. And as always, y'all, be blessed, be amazing, and be intentional. I'll see you next week.
If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Pyro Media Network's YouTube channel for more awesome content. Plus, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live or upload new videos. Visit pyromedianetwork.com today, not just to check out our incredible roster of talented creatives, but also to gain access to exclusive bonus material available only to our Pyro fam. Show your support for this Black-owned indie network by donating today. Help us keep igniting brands everywhere.